With the Angels of Zaraman expansion, we finally got evolving weapons or Incarnon weapons. Now these are weapons that, after a bit of a charge, can go absolutely nuclear. They become more powerful, more impactful. But what happens when your Incarnon form is weaker than your normal form? Is it still evolving or is it devolving? Today, we're gonna find out with the Felarx. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got an endgame setup for you. Normally I have something cheap, something affordable, something for newer players, but this is anything but a new player-friendly weapon. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the Felarx. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. Now the Felarx is an Incarnon weapon, and being an Incarnon weapon, it means it has two fire forms or fire modes. In primary fire mode, it's a shotgun, run-of-the-mill projectile based attack. Take a look at the 15-meter test so you can see the spread on this one, something like so. Now it's a pretty nasty spread. That's what he said. That's not important. What is important, the projectile travel speed by default is pretty good, and most of the pellets will be landing within the crosshairs. By default, you have 4 without any multi-shot whatsoever. Now, did you notice something? Take a look at the reload animation. It's absolutely bloody beautiful. Look at that. He's just flipping in the shells. Beautiful, fantastic. I love it. And it's also Strun style of reload. That means shell by shell. That means that you can go shoot a guy, start reloading. Oh, I just need 2 more shots. Boom. Or 1 more shot. And stop in the middle of the reload and shoot your target. It's an old school style of reload, so you either love it or you hate it. A whole lot of 10 disliked it when it was removed from the current prime. Outside of that, you gotta get headshots with your weapon, with your Incarnon weapon, to fill up your Incarnon bar. Right underneath my gauge, you see that? The gauge is full, I can go Incarnon Form. In going Incarnon Form, this one transformed from a shotgun to AK pistols. And these pistols fire a projectile which looks to be explosive. It is not an actual explosive projectile, it is just a visual effect. It doesn't do any AoE whatsoever. Have a look. There's no AoE whatsoever, unfortunately, on this one. It just looks like it does AoE damage. I cannot show you the floor test because by default this one has half a meter worth of punch through. In Incarnon Form, keep in mind that you cannot reload. You have the bar, and when the bar is done, you gotta go back to normal form. If at any point you choose to go back to normal form without the bar being exhausted, you will lose whatever charge you had left. So do bear that one in mind. Go for headshots, go Incarnon Form, and shoot your target. Your bar does not need to be fully filled up to go Incarnon Form. Now it's a projectile, it has travel speed on this one, it doesn't have any fall off whatsoever, and the weird part is that it actually has less damage than the primary fire form. And for that we're gonna visit stats in just a second, and then we're gonna head on over to the Zaraman 10.0 so you can see the evolutions for this one. We're looking at an accuracy of 7.7 for a shotgun, which is totally fine. The fall-off between 14 and 28, which again is fine. It's a projectile-based attack. This being a shotgun, you got galvanized acceleration, which is absolutely humongous for the excellent slot. 30% projectile speed beam length, or an on kill you get 30%, stacks up 2 times for 10 seconds. It's absolutely a must-have, and it makes the weapon feel a whole lot better. Keep in mind that you don't get in the stat screen right now, you don't get to see the full effect, you need the on kill, so your fall-off goes even better than that. It's a mandatory mod in the excellent slot, so do unlock this one. As for the AMT Arcane slot, you're going to be going with Primary Deadhead. If you're going to go for a raw strength approach, this is what I recommend for this weapon, a raw brute strength approach, because that's what it's best at. If not, you can go with Primary Dexterity, on melee kill, yada yada, you know the drill. And of course Primary Merciless if you choose to go for a Hunter Munitions Viral approach, which we will not be going for today. It works, but the raw strength approach is simply better for now. Fire rate is going to be free magazine of 6, as you saw there, multi-shot of 4, that's the default number of pellets that you're firing, noise alarming, reload of 3.7. Now, it's reload of 3.7 total, alright, for the total number of 6 shells. Riven disposition 1 out of 5, I do not recommend Rivens for Dispo 1 weapons, though a minus critical chance Riven for this one might work nicely, more on that later. Now let's talk about the damage. Damage per projectile, because we are dealing with pellets here. Yes, critical chance 20%, 2.0x critical multiplier, decent stats, and a status per projectile of 5.5%. I know this seems low, but it only seems low because it's per projectile you are firing 4 by default. So do bear that one in mind. Now the damage layout, impact, puncture, slash. Not bad, impact, puncture, slash, fantastic, my friends. And the highest is going to be slashes, so you can get slashes out of this one without using Hunter Munitions. This one generates a whole lot of impact procs, but keep in mind it is a shotgun, so you don't have the impact to slash mods. Before you go and suggest that one, we don't have that for shotguns, thankfully. Semi-automatic mode represents the Incarnon Form. 9.1 accuracy, fire rate of 1.5. It's extremely sluggish and slow, and unfortunately, it also only has 500 damage. It actually has lower damage than its primary form. So keep that one in mind for later. What it does have more is critical multiplier, 3.0x, and status chance 20%, which, well, this one does have 5.5, but it's 5.5 times the multi-shot, so there you go. Damage is going to be impact and radiation. Now, I want to show you the Incarnon Evolutions, so let's head on over to the Zaraman. The first level simply unlocks Incarnon Form. The second level is where things get, well, a little interesting at least. The first one is going to be 40% accuracy when aiming. It's not bad, especially if you saw the spread there. I don't feel it's mandatory, however, if you want to use it at more longer range, I would definitely go with attuned accuracy. My choice usually is going with kinetic baffle. Why? Because I also have the option of frictionless flight. Essentially, it's a choice. If we get over the accuracy and all that. If you're fine with the base accuracy and you don't want to use it for long range shots, it's a choice between weapon recoil and projectile flight speed. But the thing is, you can get a lot better projectile flight speed by using the galvanized mods I already showed you guys. Go in this one with kinetic baffle. That way you also reduce the recoil, but you also got projectile flight speed. Next, at level 3, what do we got here? Check this one out. This one is super cool, and we spent a good amount of time testing this one in the simulacrum to see exactly how it works. You got dual mode chamber. Reload toggles the weapon between 100% projectile speed and 4 meters worth of punch through. And the best way to show you this one is in the actual simulacrum. Now I want you to have a look at the upper right portion of the screen. You see that there's a 4 there. That represents punch through. Okay, I got punch through right now. It's gonna be going through all of the targets. Boom, fantastic. And at this point, look at that, beautiful. At this point, it becomes an odds and evens question. If you're gonna be reloading odds, you're gonna go to the secondary buff. If you're gonna be reloading evens, you're gonna keep your buff. Right now, I need to reload my weapon. I reloaded 4 bullets, so I maintain the punch through buff. But if I just shoot once, now I have an odds, change it, dual mode chamber. 100% projectile flight speed. Now here's the kicker. This buff actually carries over to the Incarnon Form. You get it? If I go Incarnon Form right now, I get 100% projectile flight speed. Beautiful. Fantastic, right? Equally, you can get yourself some nice punch through as well, but you can't change that buff while you're in Incarnon Form. So I gotta go back, get myself a little charge. And what did we said? Odds and evens, right? Depending on how much you reload. Right now I reloaded 6. That's an evens. If I reload evens, it's still gonna be the same buff. If I reload odds, just 1, I'm gonna change my buff. And now I got dual mode chamber 4 meters. I can go to Incarnon Form, so I can show you the punch through. The projectile will be going through targets. It's got 0.5 punch through by default, but now it's got 4.5 total. Now you may also notice that the animation of the explosion is gone. Let me show it to you. See that? There's the animation of your explosion right there, essentially. Again, it's just an animation. It doesn't actually generate any explosion damage whatsoever. So if you want punch through on your secondary projectile, on the Incarnon Form projectile, you want to go for something like this. Spoiler alert, the Incarnon Form on this weapon currently is simply not as powerful as its primary form. But back to talents. There are some synergies with dual mode chamber, but we'll talk more about that just a tad later, unless I forget. Evolved autoloader. Check this one out. Plus 50% magazine reloader per second when holstered. Absolutely bloody fantastic. And you're gonna say, dude, does it work in Incarnon Form? For example, you can trigger the Incarnon Form of the weapon and then holster it. When you reselect it, it will still be in Incarnon Form. But unfortunately, Evolved autoloader only works for the primary fire mode. That is the shotgun fire mode. It doesn't work in Incarnon Form. And the last one, the one I'm going to be using, is called Mounting Momentum. Reload increases fire rate by 10% per shell. Resets on reload. You get it, right? It's a shell by shell reload. Strun style again. So if you're going to be reloading the entire magazine of 6, you're going to get 60% more. But nobody said you can't build more magazine capacity. So do bear that one in mind. It's a fantastic talent. At this level, honestly, either mounting momentum or dual mode chamber. These are the best ones. I would select mounting momentum. At level 4, evolution numero 4. The first one is pretty clear cut and dry. It's a copy-paste talent from other evolving weapons. You got 10% critical chance and 10% status chance. It's a flat line. If you're gonna go for a more Hunter Munitions approach for this one, this will be the talent for you. The second one is called Incarnon Catalyst. Headshot builds 50% more Incarnon Transmutation charge. If you go for this one and a normal build on the weapon with all the multi-shot and everything, a single shot, believe it or not, can get you close to full charge. It's absolutely nuts. But considering the Incarnon form of the weapon is by all intents and purposes weaker than its primary fire mode, we don't really want to get to Incarnon form all that fast. So the final one is actually the best one. We're going to go with Racking Raft, 20% status chance and minus 10% critical chance. These used to be bugged in the past. Now they apply correctly to the weapon. Or at least this one right now. It works fine. Racking Raft. Now the final ones. A bit disappointed with the variety on this one. Again, we're looking at copy-paste talents. Take a look at this one. It's also coincidentally the best in slot. Devastating Attrition. 50% chance to deal plus 2000 damage on non-critical hits. Yeah, sound familiar. And of course, it's gonna synergize beautifully well with Racking Raft. This is a throwaway talent from my point of view. This is filler, and I'm honestly against talents such as this one. Does anybody use Agile Executor or something of the sort? It's a legitimate question. Let me know. For my 2 cents, it's a throwaway talent, something that should be replaced with something a bit more interesting. And finally, Rupture Plentitude. I love this one. We tested it a whole bunch on punch through free enemies. Okay, so you gotta punch through free enemies, plus 70% ammo efficiency for 20 seconds. Dude, fantastic. Hold on, didn't we get punch through earlier? Aha, you remembered. Fantastic, of course you did. We got punch through right here on dual mode chamber when you select the punch through buff. And we can couple it together with this one and it's gonna be fantastic. That means I'm gonna be able to stay in Incarnon form a whole lot, right? Wrong, sadly. First of all, again, the Incarnon form is weaker than the primary form of the shotgun, so you don't really want to do that. But even so, Ruptured Plentitude only functions in shotgun mode. Rupture Plentitude does not offer its buff in Incarnon form currently. So, there you go. So much for synergy. Yeah. So obviously you're going to be going with this one, Devastating Attrition. And my suggestion, mounting momentum. Now let's talk about modding possibilities for this one. Normally I have something like, hey, a new player friendly approach and a beginner build, but honestly these are anything but beginner weapons. There's nothing new player friendly about the Incarnon weapons, so we're just gonna move into a maxed out setup. Now on this one, we got a whole lot of multi-shot with Galvanized Shell, of course. We're also going to be using Galvanized Savvy. I fully tested Galvanized Savvy. Galvanized Savvy applies damage extra, both in shotgun form and in AK pistols forms as well. So you're fully safe going with Galvanized Savvy on this one. We're going to be using a Bane mod because we have to for the optimal amount of damage. There you go. If you don't want to use this one, I totally get it. We also got Shell Shock and Toxic Barrage because, my friends, this is a corrosive approach to the weapon. We're going to be building corrosive feet. And we also got Prime Ammo Stock. Remember what I said with the fire rate and everything? This is not necessarily the smartest choice to go for. This is a whole lot of fun, and I just felt wrong by not presenting it to you guys. So we're going to go with a fully maxed out Prime Ammo Stock. In the Excel slot, Galvanized Acceleration. When it comes to arcanes, we're going to go primary deadhead since this is a more of a raw strength approach. What you got to bear in mind is that this is not the only way you can go. You can build Slash and Viral. That's totally fine, but Slash and Viral don't really mix all that well. Hunter Munitions and Crit right now don't really mix all that well with the current talents that are available for the weapon. I recommend you give this build a spin and see how she handles. And speaking about how she handles, let's make sure that Gauss doesn't have corrosive projection or anything. No Mod Rise School or no Void School that will skew the test results. We're going to be spawning in level 165 Corrupted Heavy Goons because 120 is basically a joke for a weapon of this power. And I'm going to show you exactly what it's capable of. One shots galore, my friends. One shots absolute galore. And that was without the fire rate buff. Let me spawn one more time. When you're faced with a whole pack of enemies, what you can do is basically open up. You see what I mean by synergy? Now, it's also true, you're gonna be spending a whole lot of time reloading, so here's an option for the build. I know you guys love that, it's brilliant, it's fantastic, I love it as well. It really does pack a punch. You can get rid of Scattering Inferno and go for reload speed. If you go for reload speed, you're gonna be spending less time reloading. If you find yourself reloading all the time and it annoys you in gameplay, chilling reload is an option, but that would mean that you're going from corrosive heat to corrosive cold. Another option is to max out Prime Tactical Pump. Honestly, it's the first time I ever feel the need to actually test this mod. Try this one out instead of Scattering Inferno, see how she handles. Now, I know what you guys are gonna say. What about the Incarnon Form? Show us the Incarnon Form. I will. Just bear in mind, it's simply not as powerful as its normal form. Alright, go in Incarnon Form. I got a few stacks. It's slow. It's sluggish. And by all intents and purposes, it's simply weaker than its shotgun form. I have no idea if the weapon is bugged right now. Judging by the stat screen, it is not bugged. Judging by its functionality, it is not bugged. Perhaps the developer simply meant for us to have two weapons in one, but as it stands now, in terms of power, go for the shotgun mode and max out the shotgun mode and simply forget about the Incarnon Form. It's a bit of a crying shame, and honestly I am disappointed from a diversity perspective. I expected these Incarnon weapons to be special, to be unique, not copy-paste talents. Not no actual build diversity. If we're all gonna be using the same exact talents over and over and over again, then what was the bloody point? It's the same thing as adding another mod. Please don't misunderstand. This is a very powerful weapon, it's just that I was expecting a bit more. As for its Incarnon Form, just simply go shotgun, reload, get yourself that reload speed. There's a big target in front of you. It's not gonna know what hit it. The reload is an issue though, so do bear that one in mind. Now about my Steel Path setup, what I did is basically grab Revenant and the Panzerwolf for the Miami Viral procs, but I also switched out Primary Deadhead with Primary Merciless, primarily because of that reload speed increase, so do bear that one in mind. Okay, this is no buffs whatsoever. We're gonna take it from the top, yeah, just so you can see how an actual run would go. This weapon is way too powerful for this level of content. It just simply chomps through everything with no problem whatsoever, even at range like this. See that? Most of my pellets are not even making contact with a target, and now I get the fire rate as well. I would dump this fire rate into a heavy-duty target, but there is no heavy-duty target in this mission that can realistically stand up to this kind of damage. So I go shot by shot so I don't realistically waste ammo. Look, this is a big target. I think I killed it 1,000,000 times. You guys get how that one works. I don't think there's a whole lot I can show you in Steel Path. I mean, what can I show you in Steel Path? It's just gonna basically melt everything up to a certain point. You gotta bear in mind that these raw damage approaches have their limitations, and their limitations will come with more damage mitigation on the part of enemies. So when you're hitting a couple of thousand enemies in a couple of thousand, if you want to do an endurance run in Steel Path or something like that, you might run into some issues. But as it stands now, the weapon is fully capable of essentially annihilating whatever stands before you for the 99.9% of content in Warframe. Now, about those frame war buffs. We're going to be picking up Lady Mirage Prime, but you know what? You should really think about a reload speed buff from your Warframe, so think about Gauss. We're going to go with Lady Mirage because she's too hot to handle, if you know what I mean. Fix the fashion like so. When it comes to companion buffs, we're going to be using the Panzerwolf. Corrosive projection against heavily armored targets. Who saw that one coming? Yep, everybody. But Arcanes are a lot more impactful. Definitely not gonna go with Arcane Avenger. However, we are not looking for crits. If you guys are looking for even more flat damage, even though you have so much at this point, there's really no need. You can go with Arcane Rage, not Precision. Precision is for secondary weapons. As for your second Arcane, honestly, you can go for whatever you wish. There's really not a whole lot you can do considering this is a shotgun. You can go with more fire rate with Arcane Tempo, but there is no reload speed, sadly, for shotguns. You got some for pistols or secondary weapons, and you also got Arcane Momentum, which will help with your snipers, but nothing for shotguns. But hey, more fire rate! I wouldn't go for more fire rate at this point. Honestly, that is enough. You're wasting ammo, so you can just go with no Arcanes whatsoever. Tempo, yes, tempo increases fire rate. We're gonna be spawning in. Why do I even spawn these guys? You know, I mean, they're just gonna get absolutely murdered. but it is a good showcase of the weapon's capabilities, so why the hell not? I'm gonna activate Mirage's free ability after I activate Empower for a fantastic Eclipse buff, and one more time for the clones. Shot by shot action is absolutely gonna murder everything. You can pause to watch the numbers. It's just 1.6 mil. I mean, 1.6 mil, and keep in mind that 1.6 mil was from a shotgun shot which fires a whole lot of pellets, my friends. Now we can get reload on, so we can get that yummy fire rate. Look at the reload speed. Beautiful, beautiful reload speed. This is why I switch from Deadhead to Merciless. You gotta love yourself that reload speed on a weapon such as this one. Look. Especially if you go for the magazine size approach that I went through. You don't need to, okay? You don't need to increase the magazine size. I just thought it was a cool little thing that you guys might enjoy. And now, it goes machine gun. You understand why you don't need more fire rate right now. Essentially, like half those shots ended up in the walls. Time to draw some conclusions regarding the latest Incarnon weapon, the Felarx. It is a very powerful weapon, no questions about it. I just find it a little bit weird that its primary fire mode is stronger than its Incarnon Form. Perhaps it's an oversight on the part of the developer, perhaps it is bugged and they will iron things out. Unfortunately, a lot of the time content for Warframe comes bugged out early, but I know you guys wanted to see a full review on this one, so here it is. It's quite a capable weapon, as long as you get over the fact that its Incarnon Form is simply not as fast, not as strong. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any suggestions for me or feedback, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. And if you guys want to see more powerful Incarnon weapons, then by all intents and purposes, link in the cards right now. You can also catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. Once again, link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Shawazin.